Hey, welcome back. Glad to have you here. My name's Ethan, and today I want to talk about how you can actually become an author. I know a lot of people are interested in writing their own book and they want to be an author. They think that would be cool. That'd be something that they'd like to do in their life. But a lot of people that I've talked to, they make excuses as to why they couldn't be an author. Some people say, well, I don't have enough time, or I'm not an author, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough about a certain subject. And when I hear that, all I hear is that they're really good at making excuses and lies that they tell others and that they tell themselves, because everybody is an author and everybody can become an author. And I'm going to talk about a couple different key things that I think are important, that if you think about them, they can kind of change your mind and give you a different mindset, a different worldview as to what it means to become an author. First, what is an author? A lot of people think that to be an author, you have to be a highly acclaimed, published author with a book that's on the New York Times bestseller list. And that's not true. By default, we are all authors. We all speak with other people every day. We send emails, and we write notes. If you're in school, you might be writing essays or whatever. But no matter how you communicate with other people, either by talking with them or sending them an email, you are already an author, because you are communicating information, communicating ideas with other people. You're sharing your information, sharing your wisdom with other people. So you're already an author. You might just not be a well-respected, well-known author that's been published yet, but you've already made it to a certain level of being an author. Other things that people will say as to why they can't write a book is they're not an expert in any given field. And I would say, well, they are, in certain fields. So expertise is something that we all think that for a lot of different things that we are not an expert, that somebody else with a degree or a title or a certain number of years in a particular field is an expert, and we aren't. One of the things that is important to understand about expertise is that expertise is relative. So what I'm talking about with relative expertise, it works like this. So my parents see me as being an expert in computers because I know more about computers than they do. They'll call me up and say, how do I do XYZ? I don't know, what button to press, or, how to do this certain thing. And, I know that I'm not the world's utmost expert on computers. There are other people that know a whole lot more than I do, and I consider those people to be experts, but my parents consider me to be an expert just because I know more than them. So expertise is not absolute. You're never going to be the world's utmost expert on any given topic, most likely. But you're going to know more about a certain topic than other people do. And that makes you a relative expert. When you're a relative expert on a subject, you essentially have created a value proposition for yourself. So a value proposition is when you have the opportunity to give somebody some information or something that they want. So if somebody wants to learn about how to invest in cryptocurrency and they don't know really much of anything about it, and you know a little bit about it because you've invested a little bit, you've learned a little bit, but you're not the utmost expert in cryptocurrency, you are still a relative expert to the person that doesn't know much of anything. So you can write a book on how to invest in cryptocurrency or what cryptocurrency is from your standpoint, and you can write it for beginners who really don't know much of anything. You are still a relative expert to them. So you don't need to be the world's utmost expert in any given topic. You can be a relative expert on a lot of different things. So you've got that covered in terms of expertise, how much you need to know. You know that you're already an author. Now you need to take a look at some of the other excuses that you and others make about why you can't be an author, why you aren't an author. One of the ones that I often hear is, people don't have enough time. Well, that might be true, but it all depends on how they're choosing to spend their time. Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. And there's some people that have accomplished great things with their life, whether they are super famous or super wealthy, or they're just able to accomplish a lot in their life. They don't have any more time than you or I do, but they're able to use their time, and they have the discipline to always spend time every day or every week working towards their goal or their dream, whatever that might be. And unless you actually take some time out of your day, every day or every week, to sit down and write, you're not going to ever become an author. And you're not going to accomplish anything that you want unless you actually take the time. You just need to repurpose some of your time. You need to either wake up earlier and spend some early morning hours doing the things that you want to do, or you need to take some of your evening hours. And after the kids go to sleep, after you get home from work, you need to spend an hour or two doing something that you might not want to do. You might want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix, but you know watching Netflix isn't going to get you any closer to publishing a book. You need to take some time away from Netflix and spend it writing a book. So you just need to do that. If you don't take the time, you're never going to accomplish becoming an author. So a lot of people also, are concerned about, well, even if I have the time or I know enough about a subject, and yeah, I might not be known right now, but I will be known once I publish a book. They might say things like, well, I don't know how to write a book, or I don't know how to get started. And to that, I just say, well, you don't need to figure this out. You're not the first author out there. You're not the first person who's had problems getting started writing a book. Just look at how books have been written. Read a book. Look at how it's laid out. Look at how the sentences are structured. Look at how the paragraphs are structured. Look at how the chapters are laid out. Look at how authors do an intro and an outro, and how they kind of put everything together. Whether you want to write a romance novel or you want to write a book on investing, take a look at books that are already out there and just learn from other people. Copy from the best, not word for word. You don't want to steal their content, but copy their outlines, their styles, the way they do things. You're using what they do and how they work as an example for your own writing. So take a look at what other people have done. Saying that you don't know how to do it is just an excuse again. You need to take a look at how other people have done it, learn from them. That's how you do that. In terms of how to go about writing a book, the style for doing that is up to the individual. I like to start out by just kind of writing a table of contents. Like I'll put down on a piece of paper, here are the major topics I'm going to cover, and here's the general flow of how I think the chapter should go. Here's the general content. And then I will first write the introduction or the conclusion. Maybe I might do both of them, one after the other. And then I'll start writing the book, the middle contents of the book, one chapter at a time. Sometimes I'll skip around based on what my inspiration for the day is. Some days I'll have an inspiration for writing a particular chapter, and so I don't necessarily write my books in order from start to finish. That's not how I work. Some people, it does, but you're going to find your own style that works for you, and the only way to find that style is to start actually doing it. It's just like the Nike slogan, just do it. If you want to be an author, you just have to do it. You have to start writing. You can't just say, I'd like to be an author, and then not actually do the work. You're never going to be an author that's published. Once you do get to the point where you're actually writing something, a lot of people think, well, I can't find a publisher. Nobody's going to want to publish me. Who cares? Amazon has a great self-publishing platform. You don't need to find a publisher. You don't need to find an editor. You're good enough to proofread your own work. And at the end of the day, who cares if there are grammar or spelling mistakes in your book? Who cares? You are not superhuman. We are all human. We all make mistakes. Yeah, we'd all like the stuff that we write and the things that we do to be as close to perfect as possible. But at the end of the day, you are getting your point across, and you don't need to have perfect English, perfect grammar, perfect spelling. Don't worry about that kind of stuff. Just put your stuff together, review it yourself. You don't need an editor. If you feel like you want somebody to review it, have your partner or your friend or coworker read it and have them give you some input. They're gonna find things that you didn't, and that they can be your editor. But Amazon can be your publisher. You don't need to team up with a big publishing house. I mean, for me, I would not have the patience for that. I don't want to wait months or longer to have somebody hopefully read a draft of my book and then, give me, some kind of deadline or some kind of, story about why they don't want to publish it, or it's going to take months to do. I just want to publish the book. I want to get my idea out because I want to publish a lot of books on different topics, and I don't have a year to wait for approval on a book. So I really like Amazon's self-publishing platform, at least as a place to get started, because you can take a book and you can publish it very quickly. And it really doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to come up with any money up front. You just upload your Word document or your PDF right to the Amazon publishing platform, and you can have ebooks and you can have paperbacks published on demand. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a great way to get your message out there. So there really is no excuse, no reason why you can't become an author. I think sharing your ideas, your knowledge with the world is one of the best things that you can do in life. I think, as we learn things throughout our lives, if we don't share that with other people, we're really doing them a great disservice. Humanity has done, amazing over the past century, and especially over the past few decades, with the amount of information that we have available to us and the amount of information that is shared between people has allowed us as a civilization to really expand our capabilities in medicine, technology, and a lot of different areas far quicker than we have ever been able to before in human history. So when you learn new things, you can take that information, you can pass it on to other people in different forms that can be helpful. Now, you don't need to be a physicist or a scientist or a doctor to come up with new information that's worthy to share. One example of what I'm talking about is I wrote a book called Perpetual Wealth recently. And what I did is I wrote a book, it's only about 200 pages, and I took different concepts that I learned about investing from dozens of other books, and I condensed that information into a single book. There were a lot of topics that I had to research on my own, but once I learned about different things, I essentially summarized those into one single book that got the major points about how to invest your money and how to make sure you never run out of money in a single book. And the value of that to somebody is pretty huge. One, because they learn about the topics that are in that book and they can become a better investor and they hopefully have a more prosperous financial future. But the other thing is I just saved them a ton of time. I had to read dozens of books and I had to learn about things over the course of several years. If I had a book like the one I wrote myself, I would have been able to escalate my learning much quicker. So by just condensing and summarizing information that I've learned from others and taking some things I've learned from myself and putting it into a book, that provided a lot of value for people. So you don't need to come up with some new quantum physics theory or discover some new medicine, some new medical breakthrough to write a book. You don't have to be that kind of expert. You can just be a relative expert. All you need to do is know more about a particular topic than somebody else does, and or summarize other information for people. People see time savings as value. This is why people use services like Shipt in Amazon. They don't want to go to the store. They just want to have their food or their toilet paper or bounty towels delivered to their door. People enjoy having more free time. So if you can save people time by summarizing valuable information in a book, you're going to do really well. So hopefully if this is helpful information to you, if you're looking at becoming an author, and hopefully if you watch this video, you know that you've made excuses as to why you can't be an author. You've heard yourself say them, you've heard other people say them. Hopefully you can shoot those things down now, get over those blocks, and get on with writing your first book. To that end, I wish you the best of luck. It's super gratifying to get a book out there, so just go out there, just do it. Until next time, take care. We'll see you around. Good luck.